Hello everyone, Kurt Olfer here, and welcome back to another episode of Olfer Labs. Today we continue on with Fiore's Gioco Stretto section of the sword in two hand, and we're going to look at, once again, a play that Fiore doesn't show us much right here, except for the end result of what happens in this crossing. Now, this right here is in regards to the usage of if someone's throwing a reverso Mezzano against us, so that horizontal neck to knees line strike, which we know from the reverso side is a false edge strike that comes against us. In this case right here, Fiore's counter to this is utilizing a true edge strike from the Mandrito side and how to create this. Or at least that's what we see, because he doesn't specify, but he also does not call it a reverso. So we're going to take a look at this right here to kind of explore what happens in these crossings and how this end state picture that we see right here is most likely possible to be achieved. Before we do that though, please don't forget, if you haven't done so already, like, subscribe, share with a friend out there, and leave a comment below at the end of the video. Let me know what you're thinking out there and what your thoughts on this video and play is. Maybe tell me a little bit about what your journey in Fiore is as well. Love to hear that. Love to grow this channel here, and that's not possible without viewers like you. So please, don't forget also to hit that bell for notifications. That way you know when new content is dropped. And with that being the case here, everybody, let's get into it. Okay, this week here we are going to revisit a concept that is shown before. We've seen this play done before when it came down to the breaking of the point, as far as for countering that. And we're going to review those plays right here because as far as the concept goes, again, the big thing that we want to understand here is that we're getting there, but now let's talk about the horizontal approach here. So the image that we're talking about here for this play is this one, which deals with the fact of him throwing a reverso Mezzano. Now again, how we see the reverso Mezzano is, it's a matter, if I'm here, it's coming across this way. Now Fiore says it comes with a false edge cross here, right? So it can go from neck to knees. That can be neck across, that can be neck knees, that can be knee neck, right? In that case, the big part about this right here is that essentially, just like everything, situation dictates. So we're going to talk about the first plays at top line here. We came down to the breaking of the point. Two ways we can do this. He thrusts at me. I come down to this position right here using that largo offline position here to go into that position. Right. Now in this, a couple of ways that we can get to this is as he either A, does the typical oh shit of bringing up the sword right here, which is trying to windshield wipe and clear this out of the way here, which puts the sword back into play danger for me. Which in that case, he comes up and I come across into this crossing right here, which allows me to strike his neck and get into the grappling position. Or he decides to utilize concept like the Volano, where he pulls up and I follow him, which allows, once again, us to get the blade here into the position. This kind of hand rotation piece that's happening here is very reminiscent of the false point, where we're coming across and then we're allowing the sword to rotate. So we have to let that pommel kind of become a rotation, which allows us to go in a different place. And this right here, that whole notion is just to be able to end up breaking, coming across, down, he pops up, and again, boom, let the sword go across this way. The thing that protects me here is my forearm, and it's the crossing of the sword until it's no longer useful to get into the spot where I can utilize this to hook and pull and do all sorts of nasty things to him using the pommel. So how do we do this with the Mezzano is interesting. Fiore states in this right here for the Getty is that he talks about this person who throws a reverso Mezzano, okay? I throw a Mezzano of my own, and when we come to it, we're going to make the same kind of consideration. Now, this means that we are using a Mezzano as a means to be able to create deflection, which allows me to get access to the arm. So we'll start very slow with this. He's going to put himself quite simply into the posto di donna sinistra. I'll put myself into posto di donna alla soprana. And in this case right here, he's going to come across here, relinquish, and pull back here to strike across and hook, cut back with a falso. It doesn't matter, right? My strike is coming across this way here with a true edge strike in. And again, it doesn't matter. We'll talk about how this goes into different directions here in a moment. But I am not trying, in this case, I'm not trying to strike him. I'm trying to strike a blow that allows me to get under, which allows me to collapse. So remember, stretto play. Whether he's going stretto or largo, it doesn't matter. In this case here, as he throws, I want to get underneath. So he's trying to come across the backside of my neck here, right? I'm going to come up underneath the sword. From here, this allows, now if I hold this position, you can already see, as I step stretto, again, if I go largo with this, it goes right to the back of my head and kills me. In this case right here, if I go into this, it's, again, a lot of pressure to go into this. So instead, I have a small pocket right here, which I'm going to execute on, which allows me access to the arm. So, strike, with the pass, allows my arm here, and now I can get myself into the position which allows me access to the neck. The scary thing about this is a Mezzano, how we see it. It is not any blow to the middle of the body. It is a very big sweeping strike that is meant to, it has to be respected, okay? It doesn't mean that it can't be something very small like this right here. Those might be Mezzanos, right? But the reality is how we shut this down in different direction really deals with somebody, how we cross and get underneath to create the space. So if he takes up position of dente di cingaro, maybe I take a portivo. And he's going to come back with a false, he's going to come low, high with this, right? So not necessarily this kind of shot right here, exactly, right? So we're not talking about the sultano that comes up. We're talking about him being right here. We're just going to come over across where he utilizes dente di cingaro over across here, which allows that middle line space. So in that here, if I'm on this side here and I throw a Mezzano of my own, again, I come across into the blow up and underneath. That's the big thing about this. By coming up and underneath here, it allows me access once again into the small pocket of his arm, and I can work to turn and throw him around. If he decides to say throw a Mezzano that comes down and comes across, maybe he's going to go left finesse, postidano sinestra, we'll go slow this because the lights are. He's coming down with this right here, which is a lower strike, right? He's coming like that way at me. I'm underneath the blow. And again, allows me access. The thing about stretto in this, because you got to remember, for the Mezzano, coming across this way, if that is my intended target, I can get around that target with that false shot. By moving stretto, go a little slow, the blade is behind me, so it's not me trying to strike, again, the four uses of the sword. Strike, cover, bind, break. I am trying to get to a spot where I can close this way by moving straight in. If I had gone largo, I walk right into that blade. But because I decided to go stretto, in this case right here, if the shape is out, the blade is behind me, which therefore gives me the access and the clearance to get around. So the big things that make this thing work here is the direct action that you have to go off of this shot. Remember, stretto does not necessarily mean straight. If we think about the segno line, at least for us, if we think about the segno, we have the fendente lines here. So as he's coming in this way, there is still a slight into the blow action here. Because in going to the blow this way, I get to control that angle and I can pivot around and rotate utilizing my turns of my feet.
So as you can see with the video, this is another example of why we feel in our practice that the definitions of gioco largo and stretto are about where you pressurize. So in this case right here, as you may have observed, when that falso shot of the Mezzano is thrown, it is very good. It is very good at getting around certain covers. So if I used a posta frontale onto my right side, there is a possibility it's going to come around and hit me in the neck. It also is a possibility if I push into it too much, he can come across and go right into the sword in one hand plays. It's just and that's just utilizing one mezzovolta to play around into that position. So in crossing this way, it's a nasty shot. Having a falso Mezzano thrown at you, it's great for beating, breaking, striking, getting around guards, and transitioning into apprezzare in so many different forms and fashions. And it's really, really, really awful. So The countering to that is to utilize the true edge. And as you saw on there, we're utilizing what we think is to get underneath that, but it's a much more a straight shot. And if you notice, my direction of my footwork is stretto. I am not going wide on this because to go wide keeps me at distance for one, but also puts the tip right into my face. To throw that Mezzano, there's a little bit of a necessity to have the hands unwrap. And that's what I believe is happening, why Fiore tells us to strike the Mezzano against this, because in doing this, if I come up underneath it, it's going to push it up into frontale, which allows me to be able then traverse into the next space to grapple, throw, cut the face, etc. It is a really scary thing to pull off and to use, because the thing is, all Mezzanos have to be respected because they are absolutely incredibly powerful. And they are very good at creating space and getting around and being sneaky of things that are coming around at you as far as, people putting up covers and whatnot. So this play right here is kind of, once again, reminiscent about other concepts that we've seen. If you remember when it came down to the Gioco Largo section where we talk about breaking the point or the false point, that kind of rotation of allowing yourself to ditch and then come off and grab the sword, we're noticing right here a continuation of, once we make crossing on this, to come up and over, ditch the hand, allow the pommel to work, and then to get to a leveraging point position. That's worked consistently regardless of it being the false point or the other positions when it comes down to breaking into pressure. This is the same one here, but now we're talking about a horizontal plane that closes off and allows us to get across into the positions that we've already seen before. Which also kind of makes me wonder if at speed, as the person's going this way, is it possible for them to start doing the counter to the false point? I don't know. Just things for me to think about right here, because as the maestro says in this, all these plays are intertwined. So that means that they can be employed in so many forms or fashion. It's not just one play, it's many plays put together in a beautiful flower of battle. So that's going to do it for this video here. Again, please don't forget, leave a comment below. Love to hear your thoughts out there. Like, subscribe, share with a friend out there. Want to have you on this journey here. Really excited is this right here, because as we get close to the ending portions of Stretto and going into other positions like into armor, this just gets me energized because it's really cool to see this. And as I spar and use armor or unarmored concepts, there's so much stuff here that is already teeming with possibilities, which is really super interesting. And as I go through it again here, it just revitalizes all that. And I'm kind of curious where you're at as far as where within the study of this practice. With that being the case here, thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, please stay safe out there, train well, and fight on. I'll see you all soon.